Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the CNET podcast live stream. My name is Stephen Beecham, and you're watching the Byte Extra Crunchy podcast with your host, Mr. Brian Tong.
Bro, see how rusty we are?
Super rusty. I was like, what are we doing?
It's the Byte Extra Crunchy. Just get to it, homie.
The Byte Extra Crunchy podcast.
There you go. Hey, what up, everybody? Welcome to the show. We've been gone for about a month break. We had holiday break. We had CES. You know how we do it. This is Byte Extra Crunchy. We keep it extra munchy. This is our complimentary piece to the actual video show that comes out weekly, where you can really jump in and dive into this. This is episode 116, courtesy of your host in the house, Beach and Tong.
Howdy.
Man, it's been a while.
It's been like over a month.
We're getting back on the bike, so forgive us if we got some technical difficulties. All right, you know the drill. How are you a part of this show? You just have to dial in 1-800-616-2638. You guys are really the heartbeat of this show that keeps us rolling and also gives us so much to talk about. So remember, leave your name, where you're from, and what you want to talk about. 1-800-616-2638.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the show and jump right in. Look, there's a lot of meaty news this week. I love it because during this kind of holiday lull from January to February, you sometimes don't really get much news, but we got a whole bunch dropped on us specifically from Apple. We'll talk about the HomePod in a bit, but the latest news has to do with iOS 11.3. Apple released their own kind of press release form previewing what we can expect to see in the new iOS 11.3. And Beach, I kind of talked about this in the show, but it's always disappointing to me when you relaunch this new iOS. And what do you think is the first thing that they feature?
I'm looking at it, and
what do you think
I'm
is the
just
first
disappointed.
thing they feature?
I'm just as disappointed as you. And emojis.
It's iOS 11.3, bruh, and Animojis is like the headliner. Are we really? Is that where we're at now?
I have not seen one person in my friend circle or online use these in a real life situation for fun. You know what I mean? It's always been oh, we're testing it out, or it's a CNET video or something we're testing out. I've never seen anyone use them.
Well, if you have nephews and your brother has an iPhone 10, you're gonna get plenty of them. You're going to get plenty of them. So let's just kind of dive into some of the highlights of what we're going to expect to see in iOS 11.3. I think there's some interesting pieces to this puzzle. The coolest part for me is obviously, well, actually not coolest. When they first announced this on the press release, they made no mention of iCloud messaging or AirPlay 2. And why has that always been like a bugaboo for me? They announced those two features back in June at WWDC. We have yet to even see them. In this press release, when they first let it out, there was no mention of iCloud messaging. That allows you to sync your messages on all Apple devices. So if I delete it on my phone, it deletes from my iPad. You know, I know why a lot of you need that feature. I think we know why you need that feature.
I turned it off because I didn't like it if someone was texting me on my phone. Then my iPad, maybe my kids might be at home and they'll see my iPad and the text will show up there.
I know. You don't want you don't want no D-pic. I get it. You just want to make sure when you delete it, you delete them. Okay, so what we have here is those two features, iCloud messaging and AirPlay 2, are in the beta that they actually just released. We'll talk about the other features, but Apple has made this available to developers in their beta 11.3, as well as the public beta that everyone can actually sign up for. Again, at your own risk, because these are betas. It's most likely going to affect the performance of your phone. But if you want to try those out, iCloud messaging is on that. So is AirPlay 2. Now, some people are kind of a little confused or curious about what AirPlay 2 really does. Well, right now in the beta, it has nothing to do with the HomePod right now. What happens is in the beta, you can use AirPlay 2. And what does that mean? I can play a song from my phone and then direct it to multiple devices at home. But really, it's only available to work with Apple TVs running the beta as well. So if you have multiple Apple TVs and a single phone, you can play the song in different rooms.
That's it.
That's it right now. Again,
that's all it does.
That's it right now. It's supposed to be obviously expanded to the HomePod when that's ready to roll. We'll talk about it in a second. But at least these are features that have taken 8 months for us to really even see in the beta, that were key kind of tentpole features that they teased out in June. So I'll still give them flack for it because it's been so long. But let's talk about the other stuff. Animojis, get ready. You got 4 new Animojis.
Oh my gosh.
You get a skull, a bear, lion.
This is like a lion, yeah.
And there's like, if you scroll down a little more, there's like a dragon. There's like a little video that plays that's the dragon. Yeah, you can just like play that video.
Dragon's kind of cool.
Yeah. Unleash the dragon. Yeah. We also have ARKit 1.5. What makes that different? Right now, ARKit really can see flat tables or horizontal surfaces. ARKit 1.5 improves that to support vertical things like walls or doors, and it can place objects in them. The previous ARKit wasn't able to do that, so you'd honestly get some weird spatial looking things where objects might be like almost floating on a wall instead of actually detecting it. This is going to be interesting because, right, this is taken to the next level. Apple's big on AR, so that's going to be a cool thing. The Health app is allowing you now to get all your medical records from service providers directly into that. That's going to be kind of very helpful as Apple continues to push forward with using really the combination of the iPhone and this Apple Watch. Another feature called Business Chat is coming. This allows businesses, right now it's going to be limited to apps like Lowe's or Wells Fargo. You'll be able to chat directly with someone using the Messages app as the vehicle.
That's cool.
To get support.
Oh, dude, you know how many times I called Lowe's and can't get someone on the phone? This is gonna fix my problem because I've been trying to get them on the phone. I can't. It's impossible. So
pick up the phone, Lowe's.
Yeah, answer the phone, man.
But now we know how much, right? Chat support is like huge. It's everywhere now.
It's huge. Yeah, because
live chat.
Customer service is dying across the board. So we need something where we can get like right in their face and be like, hey. You know?
The other thing, really, the biggest thing about iOS 11.3 that they buried way later into this press release is that now they are making this power management feature available for us that will allow us to see the health of our battery. We all know about the whole battery issue that happened literally right before our break, where Apple admitted to throttling the performance of phones if you're, after a certain amount of time with starting with iOS 11.2, was it? I believe 11.2. We've been gone for a while, so forgive me.
It's iPhone 6s too.
Yeah,
right?
affects iPhone 6s and above.
Yeah.
So it'll show the healthier battery. It'll also recommend you when you need to get your battery swapped out when its condition is poor. But also users, if they don't want their phone to be throttled, they're going to give you the option now to turn off that better performance throttling feature. So you'll have control over whether it's in place or not.
That's a good thing.
It's a good thing. You know what? I think although it took time, and I will still say it was a horrible thing for them to hide it, and I'm glad it came out, and I'm glad it surfaced, and Apple had to own up to it. The things that we talked about, what did they need to do? Offer a battery service replacement program. They couldn't put all the fees of it on us because it was something that they were doing behind our backs. And then 3, give us the option to turn it off or on in software. Some people may find that they'd rather keep the feature on, quite honestly, but just give us these options now that we know what they're actually doing. And you still may or may not be happy about it. I know there's people that either threatened or outright said, I'm just not going to get an Apple iPhone anymore. And that's on Apple, and that's what they did.
They did come out really quick, though, when that story broke. Like, within a day or two, I feel like they addressed it and then made the battery replacement $27 or something.
$29 to do it.
Is it going to remain that, or is that just for a certain amount of time?
It's basically the models have to fall within a certain range, right?
Okay,
can't be, they're not going to do this $29 battery plan like 5 years from now.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's going to be applicable to specific models that fall within this time range.
I got to jump on that because I'm a 6S-er.
Well, I'm almost guaranteed. Not only do you have to jump on that, but there was, even before Apple announced this plan and before they were exposed, if you punched in the serial number of your phone onto an Apple Care website, it would actually tell you if you qualified for a straight up battery replacement without paying a fee.
Oh, wow.
Because they were having some of these issues before they admitted they were like screwing with our phones. So, that will always be there. Other things that are kind of happening around with iOS 11.3, we talked about cloud messaging and emojis health records. It's expected to come out sometime this spring. We don't know exactly when, but Apple has said iOS 11.3 available this spring.
All right.
I'm normally amped up about new operating systems, but the last month and a half with Apple releasing 11 to 11.1 to 11.1.1 to 1.12, all that
apprehensive.
I'm not really that excited, but and they even wrote in the developer documentation, just because they put iCloud messaging in this beta, it doesn't mean it's still going to be ready to roll. They said they're using it for testing purposes right now.
Oh, okay.
So it still could be longer for that. I would like iCloud messaging syncing, if you know what I mean. All right.
Yeah.
The other big story that dropped this week, Apple officially announced the release date for the HomePod, which will be February the 9th. The big thing, if you're listening to this podcast live or right now within the next 10 hours, I guess? No, 7 hours, 6 hours, you will be able to pre-order the HomePod for a lovely retail price of $349 US, 319 pounds or 499 Australian dollars around midnight, or pretty much midnight Friday, which is January the 26th, which is really about 6-7 hours from now.
Yeah.
You'll be able to pre-order the HomePod in either its space gray or white. They released in their press release an official announcement some details about the HomePod. If you've seen the video podcast, you'll know how I feel about it, so I don't want to continue to beat a dead horse with some of the points that I made there. But I will say here, there's some letdowns, obviously, just right out of this major launch. Now, Apple had touted this as the best sounding smart speaker on the market, and I don't doubt, at least when you compare it to the Google Home and the Amazon Echo and even the Sonos One, that it arguably, before we even see it, at least has better sound than the standard Google Home and the Amazon Echo. I'm not sure about the Google Home Max, but really, when you stack up everything that's going on with here, even after these delays, I thought they were delaying this to fine-tune it, and in the press release, they announced out of the gates, the HomePod will have no multi-user support. That is huge because the Echo and the Google Home have that, which allows it to basically detect the voice of different people and then know like what their contacts or what their to-do lists are like. That's a big deal in the Home Assistant. Also, we know Siri is still inferior to those other voice assistants. We know Echo kills it. Google Assistant kills it. There's the smart home compatibility when we're talking about third-party devices is not going to be nearly as extensive as what Amazon has. Google even has more than them out of the gates. And then, you know, if you use the Echo, there's always kind of some fun little skills.
Oh, yeah.
Those third-party apps that you use.
Hot Potato. I love Hot Potato.
Do you know the kids will love this one. I'm not trying to drive parents crazy, but there's a fart app on the Amazon Echo, and you can ask the Echo, like, you say, Alexa, did you fart? Or what is it? You can ask like different questions of, did someone fart? I think it's called You Fart, actually.
Oh, wow. I'm going to have to go look for that skill.
I used it. Your kids will just drive you crazy. Anyways, those third-party apps, there's nothing available for that with the HomePod as well. And so when you start stacking this up, even the HomePod itself only natively plays Apple Music. There's no third-party services that it talks to directly to just the HomePod. So what does it really, at least right now, on launch have going for it? The fact that I'm going to say most likely, will be the best sounding smart speaker, but it's not smart. It's not that smart.
Yeah, that's a huge bummer because my kids, they talk to Alexa all the time. They know what songs they like to hear, and it doesn't sound great, but plug it into a stereo, you're fine. But if that's what they're going on, just the sound quality, then I think they're losing.
I think the biggest miss here that I should have got to first is that not only is it not going to support multi-users, there will be on launch no multi-room support. And what does that mean for you? If you wanted to put 2 HomePods in different rooms, you won't be able to do that, and they won't be able to talk to your phone and play, different songs or the same song. But the biggest part about that, Apple promoted that you could buy 2 HomePods to create stereo sound.
Yeah.
That will not even be supported on launch.
That's a bummer. That is
Google Home Max supports that on launch.
Yeah, I don't think Echo did not. Like we got multi-room like later, maybe like a year later.
And also like with the Echo platform, they've been there for 3 years. Google Home has been there for like 2.5-ish or so. I don't know exactly. I know we know.
It's been a while, yeah.
So this is your entry. This is your entry into it at $349. I'm not saying they have to have a cheap sounding smart speaker. I know the point of it is they're trying to say we want to have the best sounding smart speaker, but is that really a big enough differentiator for the general mainstream audience to care? Like during the holiday season, I can't tell. I can't remember the numbers, but we're talking about in the tens of millions. I think around 40 to 50. I don't want to say out because I'm not sure exactly. But over the Black Friday holiday season, the number one selling stuff, alongside with like AirPods, were smart speakers.
Yes. They
were deeply discounted. They knew that Apple dropped the ball. They didn't get theirs out in the holiday season. And so you're talking about $30 Echo Minis and Google Home Minis. Just, you can't compete with that. And even the Sonos One, just today, they're like, hey, normally our Sonos One player with Alexa built in is $199 a pop. We'll sell 2 of them to you that have multi-room stereo control for $349 for the price of one Apple HomePod.
Ooh, that's a big dig.
They
right?
did that
that's
today.
They
did that today. So there's competition out there, and this is what you're coming with. Like, it's just disappointing to me.
The last 2 years too, we just got back from CES. The last 2 years, like, you can't throw a rock without hitting something that's Alexa enabled inside that place. You know,
it's true. And we'll have some phone calls and we'll answer some other questions about just the HomePod platform. There is one thing I do want to point out is that peer-to-peer AirPlay streaming still exists. And what does that mean? That at least allows you to use an app like Spotify or Pandora and play directly from your iPhone to your HomePod. But it is different if you don't want to go in here and then press the icon to send it over to your HomePod. We like to just play music on our devices, but you can at least do that from your phone to the HomePod. So that is its way of getting around to have third-party support for the actual HomePod.
That sounds like a little bit of work you got to do.
Work? Yes, it is. Also, Apple Care for the HomePod will be $39. That extends your coverage to 2 years. The other thing to know about it, much like the iPhone and other devices, you have 2 incidents that will be covered. Like, let's say you knock over the HomePod and it drops on the ground. You will have to pay $39 additional for each of the 2 incidents in order for it to get repaired. So $39 to cover it for 2 years. Every time you go in the Apple Store to get it repaired, if something happens, it's an additional $39, and you can do that twice. So if you're really clumsy, you have to be really clumsy to knock over a HomePod.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I knocked over a speaker. So,
dude, don't jinx yourself.
I know, right?
Like, you work around this stuff.
I know.
I love this quote here. Tim Cook was recently interviewed for the Financial Post, and obviously the subject of the HomePod was brought up because I rant and raved about it in the show, but really we know Apple is late to the market. That's fine. But when Apple has been late to the market in the past, they at least gave us some compelling feature or some compelling reason, or at least a polished product to bring to the market, right? The HomePod is the least compelling product on launch compared to the competition that I can even remember.
Yeah, totally.
You're just telling me I should pay a whole bunch of money for a speaker that just sounds better. A smart speaker but is inferior in every other way right now. I'm just saying right now.
Like, before it's even launched, it's already irrelevant, I feel like.
That exactly. Exactly. Least compelling Apple product launch that I've seen in my, I don't want to say in my life, but I feel like it.
Yes.
I really feel like it. I'm not trying to, throw out this like superlative, like, of all time, but I'm really feeling that way.
Yeah.
I'm really feeling that way. Tim Cook interviewed again in the Financial Post about this. They were asking him about the HomePod because guess what? Yeah, it's trailing. It's 3 years late. Think about how long 3 years is in the tech world.
That's a millennium.
You learn so much in that time. So this is what Tim Cook said. And this is his quote: "We think one thing that was missing from this market was a quality audio experience, a very immersive audio experience. Music deserves that kind of quality as opposed to some kind of squeaky sound."
Says the guy, or he didn't launch it, but iTunes, who is all AAC files. You know what I mean? It's all like MP3s. So, I mean, start doing FLAC files maybe.
Oh, I forgot to tell you, it will support FLAC.
That's right. I think I did hear that. But,
at least the HomePod will support FLAC.
But do they sell FLAC files on iTunes?
I don't think they do. I'm pretty sure they don't actually. Yeah. Another quote by Tim Cook, just in regards to the competition of everything happening in this space. Tim Cook said, "Competition makes all of us better, and I welcome it. But if you are both trying to license something and compete with your licenses, this is a difficult model, and it remains to be seen if it can be successful or not. So what is he really poking at? He's talking about the fact that Amazon has Alexa built into their devices, but is also letting other companies like Sonos and others use it in their devices. That's a good thing to be, because right now they're winning in the smart home platform.
Yes.
I mean, both them and Google are putting their brains in everything, and they don't have to be Apple devices. It almost makes me laugh a little because, look, Apple is the king of licensing. They freaking licensed the Made for iPhone program that allowed you to use a lightning port in third-party speakers.
Is he talking about like branding and name recognition? Because I can almost see that with Siri, because Siri's like, when it first came out, it was extremely popular. Now Alexa's catching up, and like Cortana's kind of around.
Licensing is more like letting another company use your technology in it.
Yeah.
So like Sonos is using, right?
Yeah, I understand that, but I feel like he's approaching this comment that he made as opposed to like branding, as opposed to, he's making fun of licensing because his brand is so much bigger and Siri is more popular, or just more well known, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Alexa is gaining that ground for sure.
I think if you talk about the smart home, if you walked on the street, again, this is for people that care about this because we're in the tech bubble, right?
We're totally in a bubble.
If you said, if we walked out in San Francisco right now and asked 30 people, when I say smart home, what do you think? More than half of them are going to say smart what?
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest.
I wonder if you went out on the street and said Siri or Alexa, like what would people say? You know what I mean?
Talk English, boy. Speak English. So we'll see what happens. Again, the pre-orders open this midnight. Yes, I'm going to buy one. I do our own Apple Byte review stuff. I don't ever get a early product review from Apple. I use my own money on it, and that's why my reviews speak to someone who's actually putting down real hard cash for this. That's also
the reason why you don't get invited to Apple events.
That's 100. That's 100 right there. It's exactly why I don't get invited anymore, and I'm fine with that. It's like they can intravenously feed everyone else the Kool-Aid. Okay, let's take a break here because guess what? We've got a lovely sponsor for this week's show. Y'all ready for this? Support for today's show comes from HelloFresh. HelloFresh is a meal kit delivery service that shops, plans, and delivers your favorite step-by-step recipes and pre-measured ingredients so you can just cook, eat, and enjoy. Now check this out. No more time consuming meal planning or grocery shopping. That's a plus. HelloFresh makes it easy to cook delicious, balanced dinners for less than $10 a meal. Just choose your delivery day. Everything gets sent right to your door in recyclable, insulated packaging with 3 plans to choose from, including a classic plan, the veggie plan, and the family plan. There's something really there for everyone. Plus, there's lots of one-pot recipes for speedy cooking and minimal cleanup. Look forward to your HelloFresh box delivery as the highlight of your week, knowing dinner just got that much easier. And I do have to tell you, when HelloFresh sponsors us, I smile because I'm literally a customer of HelloFresh.
Nice.
And I don't know if you remember a long time when we first did the HelloFresh promo, I'm like, HelloFresh is HelloFresh. They still haven't used that slogan yet.
Dude, the whole sales pitch you just gave about no cleanup, like it's easy really to clean up. That is a big thing for me.
Well, everything is super packaged. I honestly, they had this like cherry sauce pork chops that I loved it so much that I figured out how to make it. Like from making it, now I just do it on my own.
Oh, the cherry drizzled pork
chops.
Yes,
wait, is that literally on there?
With tomato couscous salad.
Yeah. Oh, good lord.
That looks delicious.
That thing's money. Like I learned how to make that. I was like, I'm serious. I'm not even making this up, everybody. They're like, oh, you're getting paid to say this. Well, I'm getting paid, but not by them. They're just keeping our show alive.
But he's also paying them.
I guess so. You're right. I am paying them. I'm paying them what they paid us. This is totally a lose-lose.
Wow, yeah.
Anyways, check it out for $30 off your first week of HelloFresh. Visit HelloFresh.com. Enter the code Apple30. That's HelloFresh.com. Offer code is Apple30 for $30 off your first week of HelloFresh. If I recall right, I think it's like $50 for the box that includes 3 meals that are for 2 people per meal. I've tried the other meal planning ones, and I stuck with HelloFresh because I honestly think their food is the best. Like Blue Apron, sorry. Hopefully, actually, Blue Apron, you can sponsor us if you feel like it. But I'm just keeping it real. Just check it out, HelloFresh. That was the longest sponsored.
Cool.
They should double up their offer to us. We just gave them a hell of love.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh, I'm just like dying right now. Okay, let's jump into some of the more stories this week. iPad rumors. You want to hear about iPad stuff?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. iPad is working. This is according to Bloomberg. Apple is working on a 2018 iPad redesign with facial recognition. Now, we've kind of heard stories about this, but these are kind of some updated details. Bloomberg had reported on this a while back. The new model is going to eliminate the home button completely, but an OLED display, as we've gotten closer to this, is unlikely. The latest iPad Pro models have really kind of turned things around. Again, Apple decided to upgrade the hardware and the software for them, and I told you, iPad Pro is my favorite gadget of, I guess, the past 2 years. I think last year my favorite gadget was the Apple Watch Series 3 from Apple, but here we go with the iPad Pro, this new one that's coming out. It'll be a redesigned high-end iPad for as early as 2018. It'll incorporate iPhone 10 features such as slimmer edges and, yes, a true depth sensor camera for facial recognition. We've got a few calls about how much people are liking Face ID over time now. I think it's really interesting because it's different from the first month versus 6 months later. It really is how you use this. Anyways, this new iPad model that we believe will be shown will have a screen size similar to the 10.5-inch iPad Pro, including Face ID for unlocking the device, making payments, and whatnot. The updated tablet is expected to be released later in the year, but a little more than we'll see if it comes out. It's got to come out this year with an iPad Pro upgrade, so we'll see that. But again, no home button, slimmer bezels, Face ID on the 2018 iPad redesign. It'll be interesting to. Yeah, I think I would. It
makes more sense to have the Face ID on an iPad.
It does.
You know
it
what I
does.
mean?
It does.
It seems like
I want more
more
space. I want more.
Use.
I mean, I want more. I'm just thinking about it.
You want more space on your screen.
Well, it just. How do I hold? I guess I hold my. You know what? Here's the thing. I do hold my iPad like looking at it more than I do with my phone. Right?
Yeah.
Your phone's laying on the table.
Totally.
You pick it up. You want it just to work instead of like holding up to your face. So then iPad, it's already kind of directed at your face.
Yeah. I mean, you hold it up to just get into it, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
iPhone, like, sometimes I'll just turn it on from over here just so I can, like, play a song or something.
Yes.
So it's a little different.
You are correct, sir. Also, hints in the iOS 11.3 firmware do hint at the fact that we'll see an iPad with Face ID. In the notes of the developer kind of code and files in there as they were dug into, by Felipe Esposito. I get it. Esposito. Good job, man. Good job, man. They have noted that there's a reference to a modern iPad, and the reason why this is important is because before the iPhone 10 came out, it was referenced as modern iPhone. So if you take that knowledge and you see the word modern iPad in the code, it's most likely not only a new iPad, but an iPad with Face ID recognition.
So I'm seeing the notch here. Is that going to bother you? If you
Hell yeah, it's going to bother me.
Yeah, this notch is not looking pretty on here.
Notch my iPad, bro. It's notch my. I don't want to see a notch on my iPad.
Just why can't they just make the top just one long line? I mean, that's
you mean
not
like
a
they
big
should have
deal.
for the iPhone?
Yeah.
People,
why not?
It's funny because it's one of the most polarizing things. I think the hardcore fans are like, whatever Apple does, it's perfect. And then there's people that are like, that is so ugly. It's one of the most polarizing features, I think, on from a visual aesthetic standpoint.
I just found Philippe's code. Sorry, I didn't see that before, but here it is. Philippe.
For people that are listening, enjoy looking at Philippe's code.
Yes, the modern iPad code.
You can't have a show, you can't have a comeback show without iPhone 10 news. This is just some updates. People were like tweeting me, oh, Apple's going to cancel the iPhone 10. They're going to cancel it. I'm like, slow your roll.
Cancel it.
Slow your
Wasn't
roll.
it like one of their most popular ones so far?
Well, numbers are starting to dictate that it's less popular than expected.
Ooh.
So this is the story. According to Ming-Chi Kuo, KGI Securities analyst, he believes that there's been a reduction in orders for the iPhone 10 because of weak demand or weaker demand for the iPhone 10 design, and that basically production is caught up with that demand and could cease to be manufactured while the next generation iPhone 10s are coming. Now, here's the thinking behind it. He believes, based on his sources, again, this is Rumorville, that the iPhone 10, when the next gen comes out, right, we're talking about the second generation iPhone 10, Apple doesn't want to release a cheaper, lower cost iPhone 10 because it'll be like, well, if it's not that much difference, why do I need to get the new iPhone 10, right?
Yes.
If it's about the same. So the belief here, or the thinking here, is that they will stop making the current iPhone 10, and then based on reports, the new lineup of iPhones will be actually 3 of them. This has been thrown out there a few times, but basically the 3 models would be a new updated 5.8-inch OLED-based iPhone 10, similar to what we have now, but just, a new processor, a few new bells and whistles. There will now be also an iPhone 10 Plus, which is a 6.5-inch OLED iPhone. It's the second article in there, Beach.
I'm trying to find it. Sorry.
It's okay. Don't worry.
This one. Is your cursor on it?
It's this one.
This one?
This one.
This one.
No.
No.
That one. The one below it. So there's a 6.5-inch OLED. Let's call it the iPhone 10
and that
Plus.
one will be $1,500.
And then there will be a third iPhone that measures in at 6.1, which will actually be more like a mid-range iPhone with a similar iPhone 10 design, but it will not be OLED. It'll be an LCD-based screen, and some rumors are saying it'll even remove 3D touch, but it'll be kind of like the mid-range iPhone. So 3 models, 5.8 and 6.5 will be OLEDs, and then the third model will be a 6.1-inch one with an LCD-based screen. That is what we have right now, but that's why it would, if you have 3 phones in the lineup right now, why put out a cheaper iPhone 10 as the 4th model when you have all these iPhone 8s and iPhone 7s and 6s? Like, I don't know if you remember, but once Apple released the iPhone 10, they showed the entire iPhone lineup. It was like 10 phones.
Yeah.
It was like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Like, it's something for everyone at every price point, I guess.
The SE was like it was a big hit for them. Like
it was a
sleeper
super big
hit,
hit. It was
right?
sleeper hit.
So they're probably trying to, work some of that magic again.
They had to actually source more parts for it because it was more successful than they thought. They knew they were going to release a lower cost iPhone, but they didn't realize like how popular it was going to be. So Apple iPhone 10 rumors. Here's one that I thought was really interesting. Apple is getting into but they're putting a focus back on ebooks, or really, their iBooks platform. According to Bloomberg, Apple's getting back into the ebooks fight against Amazon, taking them in directly. The company is working on a new digital book reader app for iPhones and iPads. Apple hired former Amazon and Barnes & Noble exec specifically to oversee the unit. According to the report, this new app is due to be released in the coming months. It won't be called iBooks. It'll just be called Books, similar to Apple has like Apple Music, Apple Podcasts. This app will be called Books. It'll be a newly redesigned application specifically geared to taking on the ebook market. We know that Amazon has dominated that. They offer the Kindle platform, which I used to be a Barnes & Noble guy, and then I just couldn't, and I was locked into the ecosystem, and I couldn't do it anymore because I'm like, man, those Kindles are like so nice.
Yeah. It was sad seeing all the Barnes & Nobles closing across the country.
I still go hang out in them, though.
Do you really?
I do. I'm like, I'm still like a book guy.
It's fun to walk around and look at artwork.
So right now, if you look at kind of like the market breakdown of who has the dominant position, as of February 2017, Amazon owns 83.3% of the ebook market. Apple is at 9%.
Oh my gosh.
And Barnes & Noble is at 4%. So the thinking here is that Apple wants to redesign their app, make it a little sleeker. I'll be the first one to say when Apple released their remember the News app? You guys use the News app?
Does it have like the little like shelf? Like looks like a book sitting on the shelf.
Oh, well, that was their books
app.
Not
the News app. I'm talking about the Books app.
Yeah, it had the shelf that looked like a bookshelf.
I don't use the News app.
See, I didn't think I was going to use the News app, but because I'm such an iPad freak, I use it all the time on my iPad.
Oh,
right?
Nice.
So I'm not going to, and when I first heard about it, I'm like, I'm not going to use that. But I do now, so I'm going to admit to it. I don't think, I'm so locked in the Amazon ecosystem, I don't see myself using this Books app. But if Apple could even take away like a 10% chunk away from Amazon just to grow their business, I think it's a win for them. It's not like they're going to overtake Amazon ever or anytime soon. And Tim Cook even put out this kind of, not mandate, but he announced that he wants Apple's services to generate $50 billion by 2021. And so what does that mean? Services like Apple Music is one of them. iCloud is another one. If right now they're around $30 billion, so in 3 years they want to get a $50 billion, they have to support these things, right? So this ebook update is going to be one of them.
I got to say, I'm loving the NASA ebooks that they released for iPad. Super awesome. Go check them out. They're free too. And just pictures of NASA, pictures of space.
I will say one thing about Apple's iBooks. They have that cool thing where when you flip and turn the page,
yes,
it has the page animation.
Cool.
And that's not a reason to buy it or use it, but I'm just saying I like it.
No, that is definitely adds a flavor to your experience.
A little bit of flavor. Apple TV news. We know that Apple is jumping in and diving in to content galore. They just signed a deal with a straight-to-series order with Damien Chazelle for a series of Apple. Do you know who Damien Chazelle is without looking at this?
I don't know who he is.
How about, I mean, I know who he is, but I was just trying to build some drama and suspense for people that know. How about like the director and producer of La La Land?
Good movie. Oh, yes. Okay, he's like a new guy.
Yeah. And
he's made the musical. He's like, I'm going to make a musical.
Yep, and he did Whiplash.
Ooh, yeah.
As well.
I haven't seen that one. I have to see that.
Yeah, with the one about the drums.
Jazz drummer. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
He did Whiplash as well. So he's got a straight to series with Apple that will be coming out again. Apple and I think the announcement was they were pitching like $2 billion towards investments of original content. We know how big of a deal this is. And when they also signed like a comedy series starring Kristen Wiig that'll be produced by Reese Witherspoon. So they're getting people in place to have original content. And I've got, with that $50 billion target that we talked about for services, this is part of that. Don't put this stuff in Apple Music. Just create a new thing.
No, Apple Music's not the place. But get that money, Damien.
Get that bag.
Get that money.
Get that bag. And then finally, before we go to our calls, we know Apple is still dilly-dabbling in the smart car. Really?
The
automated. Hey, they're still testing out autonomous car systems. Apple has expanded. This is according to Bloomberg. Has expanded their self-driving test fleet to 27 cars as it accelerates its efforts to catch up with the competition like Google's, or I guess you call them Alphabet's, Waymo self-driving cars. They received a permit to test 3 autonomous cars in California, but now they've opened that up and registered 24 more cars. Here's the thing. You know how we say like Apple sometimes plays catch up?
Mm-hmm.
How many cars do you think are on the road for Google's division? How many cars do you think they have on the road? If Apple ramped up to 27, what do you think they have?
I got to say hundreds because we were just at the Detroit Auto Show and it was almost as if every car was going to be self-driving in the next few years.
So give me a number, hundreds, but what?
I'm going to say like maybe 1,500 Google cars.
That's a lot, but you're not overestimating. They have, what is it? They're testing autonomous cars in 6 states already, including, and you might, they actually didn't give the final number here, so you might be closer, right? 600 minivans in Phoenix alone.
Oh my gosh.
So you're right. You might, I don't know what the final number is.
I know Uber has them, Lyft, like everybody's doing it.
Bro, Apple has 27. You better start getting more of those cars out on the road.
I do got to say though, when we were in Detroit, I did hear a lot of talk about Apple CarPlay coming to cars. Yeah. It's going to be in a lot of cars, and there was one car maker. Do you remember which?
Was it BMW that was going to charge? There was one car maker that was going to charge people to use CarPlay.
No, there was one that they were just going to put it in standard actually, and it was going to be free.
Let me look it up.
I forget what it was. Though,
BMW is, in order to use CarPlay, they're putting out a subscription plan, basically to use the CarPlay feature, which is free to use if you plug in your phone directly. They're so
if you want to have internet in your car, you have to buy. That makes sense. You have to buy
but if you want to use your phone, if you want to use the CarPlay phone,
I see.
CarPlay platform, it's $80 a year. It's like, you shouldn't charge people to use CarPlay.
No. Yeah.
When you can do it anywhere.
I mean, I understand paying for internet service to your car.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yes.
But using a platform.
Yes.
No, I'm just gonna plug in my iPhone.
Yes. All right. Let's get to some of them calls.
Yeah. Okay.
Again, before we jump into them, you guys and gals are a huge part of the show. Call us 1-800-616-2638. We had a call from a lovely young lady, but it was all like kind of sounded underwater, and we really wanted to use it, but it's just too hard. So,
hard to hear.
But we love it. Keep the calls coming. You keep the show rolling. So
yeah, this first call's a little long, so
it's worth it.
It's a good one.
You only pick ones that are worth it.
Hey, Beach and Tong, it's Dan in Orlando. Love the show. Got a couple of things I wanted to touch base on. For one, I real quickly just wanted to say, Brian, I agree. I got the iPhone 10 on launch day, and I love the phone, but Face ID becomes more frustrating to me than anything, and I find myself missing Touch ID. So I'm with you there. And regarding smart home assistant, so I'm in the middle of doing construction on my house and a home renovation, and as we're wrapping up, I'm looking into getting smart switches and things like door locks and the doorbell and the security system and all that. And as much as I like the idea of having an Alexa in the house, I find that if you're fully integrated in the Apple ecosystem, I'm not sure why I would have an Alexa. It seems to me that Apple HomeKit does all the same stuff. You can unlock all your doors. You can buy a camera that works with it. You can get smart outlets and things like that. And so we actually got one as a gift over the Christmas break, and we ended up returning it because the more research I did, the more I found we're Apple Music subscribers. We're not the type of family that would order things over voice. We've got Amazon Dash buttons anyway for the things that we order quickly. So I really don't know what the advantages are of having an Alexa if you're fully integrated into the Apple ecosystem and you'd rather use Siri. And I'm just on the fence still. I don't know. I know the HomePod may add value to that or not. But I'm curious about your thoughts on it, because I know you can add tools and stuff to Alexa, but I just don't really see what tools we would add that would be of value aside from smart home and lighting, which we could do with Siri. So anyway, love the show, and like to hear your thoughts on that. Thanks.
All right, love the call. I think there's an interesting way to look at this. So first of all, right, quite honestly, fundamentally, most of these smart home platforms are going to work the same. What it comes down to is, depending on the devices that you have, the main big core companies for lights, what else? Switches, smart plugs. Those are most of the big brands like Philips and door locks and stuff like that. They're going to work together. They're going to be fine on all platforms. But what's different when you say, oh, well, which one should I choose? I think what makes it interesting is part of building the platform is being first to market and maturing it over time. Amazon has been here for 3 years. Google Home has been here for 2 years. So most people, at least the early tech adopters, have already invested in a platform and a system, and they're ready to roll. So I'm not going to say there's a super flooding, compelling reason to choose one or the other, but I will say that Amazon, when you, the Alexa, when you talk, the Echo, when you talk to it, the Google Home, when you talk to it, they're smarter. You can do more things. Think about the fact that just having multi-user support, if you could call your friend and it knew it was your voice, but then someone else in your family wants to call someone else, but that's on their phone contacts, and it does it on its own. That's subtle stuff, but that actually is important. The Alexa skills, I think they're actually useful. There's one that I use to go to sleep called Ocean Sounds.
Oh, I love it.
You can't do that anywhere else.
Yeah.
Fine, you may not want to order pizza, but I've actually tested getting a car service to come by. And sure, Apple will get that eventually, but you want everything that's already there. They know what's going on. They've gone through all the ups and downs. And again, fundamentally, smart speaker-wise, if it's just a smart home, just make sure it's compatible with your devices. But if it's anything beyond that, you can't say that Apple is a compelling reason. So it always comes down to what you're looking for. A lot of people tell me, HomePod, I want the best sounding smart speaker. Well, if you do, then get it, if it is, and spend $349. But I think it also part of it is just getting into which ecosystem first and getting locked into it.
Yeah, I think it's also price. I mean, a lot of the stuff that is Alexa enabled is a lot cheaper than Apple, So if you want to spend a fortune, I know a lot of Apple stuff costs a lot of money. But,
think about this, $349 for a HomePod or an Amazon or Google Home system that starts at $129-ish, depending, or cheaper if you get the small ones. And you could buy 3 or 4 smart lights with it.
Yeah,
it's a better system, and you already have it there.
Yeah,
and the system is not even more than capable. They're the top 2 smart home platforms.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the switches are expensive too. I mean, you get like one, they're like $30-$40, but Alexa ones might be a little cheaper. They might have bundle deals, I don't know. It's just, for me, it comes down to price and like ease of use,
Yeah, but if you're a rich guy and you don't care, just get whatever you want.
Yeah, screw it.
Yeah, get whatever I want.
Okay, next call.
What's up, Beach Tong? Love the show, you guys. Got a quick question. So I recently sold my original Apple Watch. The thing was just slow, not working good, and I'm going to get a new one. So should I get the Series 3 now or wait a little bit for the new Series 4? When do you think they will release the Series 4, and what kind of improvements could it be bringing? Thanks, guys. Love the show.
Well, with the actual Apple Watch Series 4, I think the only thing that is going to be, because I love the Series 3 right now, the only compelling thing that would make me really say I got to do it would be either a significantly better form factor, meaning super slim and light, and a camera, like a FaceTime camera.
Oh, yeah.
That's what would put me there to be like, I got to get an Apple Watch Series 4. Otherwise, they can't really do much to convince me that there's a super compelling, better Apple Watch Series 4. Like that's what they'd have to do. The Series 3 is awesome.
It's probably also going to have a lot of health stuff.
Yeah. You might another health sensor, but I'm pretty healthy. If you didn't notice. I'm stupid. Don't do that. Can we cut that out? No, we can't. Okay.
We did it live. It's live.
We did. It's live.
Okay, we got another.
Yeah, I think you'd be more than happy with Series 3. But if you want to wait, just wait it out.
Okay. Couple more calls.
Hey guys, this is Bo from Arkansas. Just throwing in my 2 cents on Face ID versus Touch ID. I've had my phone for about a month now, and I haven't had a point where I just really wish I had the Touch ID back. There's a couple times it's laying on my desk, and I do have to move it to look at my face, but typically I'd be moving it to look at my face anyway, so I haven't found it as an inconvenience. I do like on how PayPal and banking apps, it just logs you right in when you launch the app. You don't have to push a button or hold your finger. I feel like it's a more fluid option, and I'm enjoying it. On the other hand, HomePod, it fits me because I'm all about Apple, but the price point is the killer because I'm willing to jump into a new market like Amazon or Google to try my home settings without having to pay $350. So that's my 2 cents, but y'all keep doing what you do. Keep it real. We appreciate it. Thanks.
I think over time, and even just like we had said earlier, I just don't hold my phone up to my face every time to unlock it.
Yeah, this call was funny because in the beginning he said he did miss the Touch ID, but then he's getting used to the Face ID. So, and he sees some positives about that, but also he still misses the Touch ID. So
I think over time I ended up just using my phone the way I normally use it, and the angles that I lifted up to normally want to see my screen unlocked, it's not there. Or even when you're outdoors and you have it at a kind of an angle and the sun is shining bright behind you and it doesn't pick up, you're like, oh, that's annoying. If you have a toothbrush in your mouth, it doesn't work. I'm just telling you right now, it doesn't work. If you have a toothbrush in your mouth, because that happens all the time.
It does.
It does.
I've answered the phone brushing my teeth.
I'm serious.
Sure.
Try it. Have your toothbrush like here and go like this. It's not going to work, at least not for me. So because of that, over time, it's actually become more frustrating. And I'm not going to train myself to unnaturally hold it up vertically to my face every time I want to use it.
That's the thing, is like all these new technologies come out and then we have to like change our behavior, and that's annoying.
And maybe eventually the lens on it will be even a wider lens for the face recognition so that it can literally look at you when it's on, like be unlocked when it's flat on a table. There were even like patents and mentions in the code that it might do that, but it's become a lot more frustrating over time.
Be cool. I can't wait for voice recognition unlock. You just say, "Hey, unlock."
You're like, open.
And it just recognizes your voice. Cool. All right, we got one more left. This is the last call. Here we go.
Beach and Tong. It's Michael Pruitt from Virginia. I was just calling to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you're celebrating. I hope it's great. I hope you enjoy your time with your family, with your friends, and I hope you get some wonderful new gadgets for Christmas, because that's really what all of us tech heads want. We want something fun to play with on Christmas. So enjoy it. Also, quick side note, you guys are delivering the best content out there on Apple products. There's no doubt about that. You give a real breakdown of what's going on. You don't just give us the good old Apple spin a lot of other people do. So I appreciate that. Looking forward to 2018. All right, guys. Later.
Hey.
So, I mean, he talked about goodies, and honestly, Beecham, we need to talk about, you have talked about AirPods so much. You finally got AirPods, like, just a few days. What? Tell me.
It's the best gift I got.
Really?
By far this Christmas, yes.
That's awesome. But tell me about your experience with it, honestly, because you literally just got them, so I'd love to hear all your raw reactions to the air. Let's do the Beecham. Right, if you're telling your friend what you like about them, just what do you like about them, man?
I just love the freedom. I think they sound great. They sound good. I have been catching myself like there's a phantom cable when I'm talking on the phone. Like I'll feel like I have to move the cable in front of my mouth, and then I'm like, oh, it's not there. But yeah, just being able to work on the couch and synced with my computer. I haven't run into any problems really. The only thing I did was I went to the gym, and I'm not used to how long the battery lasts. Mm-hmm. And one of them died, at the gym, but the other one kept going. So I had one ear at least, So I'm getting used to it and like charging them and stuff like that. But
any bugaboos?
Awesome.
What's like the biggest bugaboo for you?
The biggest bugaboo, I'm just afraid I'm gonna drop it and lose it. Like I've taken them out in my car and I drop one on the floor in my car and I'm like, oh crap, That's the biggest thing. But I love them. I mean, they look funny. My kids made fun of me. They're like, "What do you got in your ear, Dad?"
That was like the first thing they said.
Yeah, they immediately noticed that. It was funny. But yeah, I think they're fantastic. But I would like to do volume or something. Yeah. I can tap to stop or go to the next song or whatever. But it would be awesome to have some sort of volume control.
Right. Like how I was talking about, right? Just if it's a touch surface, just slide it down. Just slide down.
Slide down would be. I was trying that because I saw your video. I'm like, does that actually work? And then I went and watched more videos. CNET videos, of course. How to use your AirPods.
Of course.
But yeah,
of course.
But they're awesome, dude.
Okay, scale. Let's give it a scale of 5 apples, and you can use half of apple.
Ooh, right now I'm going to say 4 apples. Woo. A solid 4 apples. Woo. Yes.
I thought you were going to say 4.5, honestly, because you were like hyped up on these.
No, and I've done tests where I walked all the way across this building, and they still work.
What, really?
Yeah.
This concrete mass?
Yeah, from my desk, like almost down here to the podcast studio, and they're still working. I'm like, this is insane. But they're super cool, man.
Technology, man. Technology. All right, everybody, that's cool. I'm glad you love those, bro. I'm glad you love those.
I'm not gonna say who I got them from.
Glad you love those, bro.
Yeah, thank you.
Glad you love those, bro. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for this week. Again, remember to call us 1-800-616-2638. Name, where you're from. I know there's a lot of pent up, like, people been saying, when is freaking Extra Crunchy coming back?
Oh, it's back.
Hey, we're back, baby. We are back. So call us, be a part of the show. Thanks so much. There's probably going to be plenty of other stuff. Again, the pre-orders for the HomePod drop today, if you're listening today, on tonight, midnight, January the 26th. Otherwise, we'll talk to you soon. Be safe. Peace.